Kind of the feature match area. Let's watch Braun-Duin play some Magic. Hello and welcome to the semifinals of Grand Prix Oklahoma City. I'm Randy Bueller. I'm joined in the booth by Jacob Van Lunen. We're going to watch the match between Joseph Reiter and Braun-Duin. It's Affinity versus Twin, kind of a classic matchup in Modern. These decks have both been around for a while. Now, Joseph's version of the Affinity deck, a little bit different, a little bit slower, for lack of a better word. A couple hangerback walkers. Well, he hasn't gone all in on the Shrapnel Blast version of the deck. But does have a couple hangerbacks to give himself a little bit more steam. But, you know, here's your Affinity draw, right? How quickly can I get my hand onto the board? Memnite, Opal, Ornithopter, Vault Scourge, Darksteel Citadel, and that'll do. 5 cards for turn 1.
It's something.
Now, I mean, obviously what he's really hoping for is a Cranial Plating or an Arcbound Worker or something, an Arcbound Ravager, something that can really take advantage of the fact that he's gotten all these cheap artifacts into play. His version plays a couple Master of the Ethereum main, which is not a card that everybody plays with. 3 champions, couple of hangerbacks.
Well, this is cool here. Now, Braun-Duin has Twisted Image. Now, this is a card that's often a 1 of or 2 of in the Twin decks because it fights through Spellskite.
Indeed. And there is 1 Spellskite in Joseph Reiter's main deck, but BBD more interested in killing an Ornithopter and drawing a card. Two Overseers in this list. 4 Signal Pests. A little bit of everything, actually. Lots of 2s.
The Twisted Image actually draws a card even when you hit. It's a cantrip.
There is Arcbound Ravager. He pauses after placing it on the table. Trying to see if Brian has any kind of permission, maybe a Mana League, maybe a Remand. They have now seen each other's deck lists, so he knows it's Remand specifically that he was worried about there. Memnite and the Vault Scourge chip away. Ravager not interested in creating a giant creature. Post-combat, Brian's going to Lightning Bolt this Arcbound Ravager, basically asking Joseph, all right, what do you want to do? You want to save it, turn it gigantic? You want to put a couple counters on something? You're just willing to let it die and create a 2/2 Vault Scourge. It's nice to just get that Lightning Bolt resolved, figure out what he's going to do with the Ravager, and then figure out how you want to play the rest of the game from there. I mean, with this portion of his Affinity deck, without that Ravager, this is not the most scariest deck in the history of the world.
Brian's made it pretty deep in this game without having a lot of pressure on him at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he's 14 life. He's only facing a clock of, 3-4 a turn.
He could just combo out and win.
Yeah, and he's at the point where he can combo out. That's precisely right. Now, Zach does play fully 4 copies of Galvanic Blast. Springleaf Drum certainly not going to add to the clock. Another artifact to have in play, obviously. But what is going to reward him for having all those artifacts? How about Ravager number 2?
That's a pretty nice one.
Again, he offers it up. Please, sir. I have an Arcbound Ravager? Brian stares across at him stoically. Oh, Electrolyze. So this is in response to the Arcbound Ravager. He's going to kill that Vault Scourge before the Ravager comes into play. Draws a card.
He has not assembled combo at this point because had he had...
Oh, yeah, if he has land, Exarch,
And
Splinter
Twin.
Twin, then whatever. He's just happy to tap something down with that mana, untap and win the game. I see a Cryptic Command in his hand.
I think he just drew an Exarch. I'm not sure if he has a twin. It doesn't look like he does. I see a lot of blue cards over there. And Cryptic Command buys him a turn on the most important turn.
Mm-hmm.
Because it can be used as a fog.
Well, there's the Exarch. Untapping a land so that he can roast the Ravager.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of this this main phase, untap a land with my Exarch, do something for Braun-Duin. Really knowing the sequencing of this deck and when to use the cards. Even though the deck often operates like during the opponent's turn, he knows when it's correct to do it on his own turn. Because if he passes the turn, then obviously you can't play sorcery like Roast, and you wouldn't be able to use your mana as efficiently as you would otherwise.
Now this time, looks like Joseph is interested in sacrificing some artifacts to the Ravager before
Before
it gets burned away.
That way he can make the Mem Knight a little bit bigger.
Yeah,
apply
Roast
more
is pretty
pressure.
hard to survive. I don't think he's even has enough artifacts to do that, so 2 counters onto the Mem Knight. Which is actually not enough to attack through an Exarch.
I'm actually surprised that he didn't maybe choose to put those onto his Inkmoth Nexus. Maybe try to just get there that way. Because right now it's not looking like attacking on the ground is going to be a good plan for him. He has a Galvanic Blast, so he could just shoot the Exarch and get in for 3. But that leaves him with 1 card and then basically no action against a full hand here from Braun-Duin. Working his way toward the double victory. 1 point of Infect. I'm interested to see whether or not Brian chooses to fire off Cryptic Command maybe on Josh's end step here if there's nothing good to counter. Ooh, instead. That's nice because it'll allow him to trade here. And also either cash in one of the cards in his hand for a better card or just, hey, nab Master of Ethereum out of his opponent's hand.
Interesting that Joseph chose not to play that pre-combat. Cryptic Command would have been pretty brutal, bouncing the Mem Knight and countering a Master.
Oh, absolutely. Does Brian care about Master, though, here? I guess
so.
I think he does. He
Especially
doesn't have the
post-combat
Cryptic
where he
right
can't
now.
Cryptic it, yeah. Especially versus a random card. And then, yeah, click happily trades with Mem Knight. Here's the Signal Pest we saw.
That's an interesting choice that he chose to play that. I believe he drew Etch Champion, which would have protection from all colors right now.
Though just barely? But yeah.
And now Joseph, I mean, he's in a pretty rough spot here. He's been in a rough spot, but it's almost looking like a lost cause at this point.
Another Ravager off the top. Not nothing.
Although, from the looks of it, after that Cryptic Command, BBD really doesn't have anything.
Right.
He has a Desolate Lighthouse.
He's bought himself a ton of time, but he drew 1 Exarch, got it killed,
Yeah, he's drawn a
has
bunch
drawn
of lands.
0 twins, and doesn't have a second creature to combo with either.
Yeah. Now he has enough land here to remand and activate the Desolate Lighthouse. With 1 left over.
Meanwhile, Game 1 has gone super quickly in our other semifinal. Zach Elsick has already won. Lantern
Wow.
Control defeating Andrew Solano's Elves deck.
Well, I mean, if he empties his hand with an Ensnaring Bridge in play in Game 1, there's no way for Solano to win, so Solano may have just conceded.
Sure. Deckless Republic. You know the other thing that I didn't realize? Those guys drove to the tournament together.
Did they really?
Semifinal
Oh my
opponents, Andrew
goodness.
Solano and Zach Elsick, they just drove up from Dallas together.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Oh, man. They're going to have a great ride home.
Yeah.
Those are the best rides home. Everyone's a winner. So he has the Splinter Twin part of the combo now.
And he has the stay alive and get a bunch of land into part of the combo.
Yeah, he does have that part of the combo assembled as well.
Signal Pest. Infect you.
Brian now at 3 Infect. Maybe next turn he'll be at 5, and then he'll be halfway down on both fronts.
Lighthouse finds a Snapcaster Mage.
That's a good one. We've drawn a lot of lands.
Does he get to snap back and Electrolyze here? It's kind of sick.
That is pretty sick. He even has a Cryptic Command, so we can pass the turn and then take a hit and then do it.
Hmm. Gonna go ahead and do it main phase. Yeah, and it is the Electrolyze. Both pests down.
Next turn, we may see something that I haven't seen in a little while, which is Splinter Twin on Snapcaster Mage.
Splinter Twin on Snapcaster Mage looks fine here.
Yeah, that's a pretty big
Look
game.
at the value.
Look at that graveyard.
You could even get back the Twisted Image that kills Ornithopter,
Yeah.
which turns off the Metalcraft on Etched Champion. No, not quite. Not quite. Still 1 short. Citadel and Opal are pretty hard to get rid of, I guess. It's a lot of value. Is that the play? Is it Splinter Twin on Snapcaster for value?
I think it might be.
Drew a land, still no creature. It's got a Lightning Bolt. I mean, Edge Champion is now the hard part. He's got to deal with Edge Champion. He doesn't have forever.
He definitely does not have forever, but he does have a Cryptic Command in his graveyard, a Cryptic Command in his hand, and the potential to Snapcaster.
All right, that's like 7 turns.
With the
there you
Splinter
go.
Twin. Yeah.
Splinter Twin enchanting Snapcaster Mage. What would you like to do now, sir?
If you guys at home have not done this, I highly recommend it. It's quite fun. Kind of a quarter case situation, but it comes up more often than you'd think. When you play Blue-Red Twin at a big Modern event, you'll probably do it a couple times over the course of a tournament.
Yeah, I saw Splinter Twin enchanting Wall of Omens in Sean McLaren's deck. He top-8'd the Modern GP in Minneapolis with. Came up a couple times. This is even better.
Yeah, he's getting spells.
All right. Tap this. Make a Snapcaster Mage. Give flashback to something. Just Twisted Image to cantrip kill the Ornithopter. And if it wasn't for Citadel plus Mox Opal, you could block Edge Champion. How good would that be?
Yeah.
Okay, Galvanic Blast. While we're safely at Metalcraft.
Okay. So
I mean, I guess
this is-
Cryptic Command can actually bounce Opal or Citadel in order to turn off Metalcraft. So this
Yeah.
Galvanic Blast is kind of scary, right? Doesn't you just get... Yeah. Counter. Oh, he counter drew a card. Wouldn't you...
I think I would bounce.
Oh, it wasn't mid-combat. He did it at end step.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, end
but
step,
that's-
there's no reason to bounce. Especially since doing the Cryptic Command took all his mana, and he didn't actually get to flash back whatever it was he targeted. Now, of course, doing it end step means that that token lasts until the end of turn.
Oh yeah.
We haven't gone to an end of turn step, so Brian can actually attack with it in theory. We be at 19.
And he will. I mean, the fact that it was end step means that Braun-Duin hypothetically on the end step this time around could use a Cryptic Command to bounce one of those artifacts. Oh, well, I guess the Nexus has to get tapped somehow.
Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah, Metalcraft is
Metalcraft's hard to
hard
turn off
to
right
turn
now.
off. Oh, here's Deceiver Exarch. No Splinter Twin to go with it, but now the next Splinter Twin will just end all the fun.
Well, the fact that he did this during his opponent's upkeep means that now he can tap the Snapcaster Mage, use Cryptic Command to return the Splinter Twin back to his hand, and then next turn he can just put the Splinter Twin on the Exarch, so he doesn't even have to draw the Splinter Twin.
He can just bounce it with Cryptic Command.
Yeah.
I want to watch the value line. So far, our value has consisted of a single 2-1, which should be dead now, right?
Oh, now he's colored mana again. So does Brian go for it?
There you go.
I don't think he has to go for it.
There's what, one card in Joseph's hand? So I mean, going to 6 from the champion is no big deal.
Yeah, so he's just going to counter bounce now. So he's going to counter the Springleaf Drum and then bounce the... Oh, he's just going to twist an image. Never mind.
Yeah, kill the Ornithopter.
Twist an image, kill the Ornithopter. Oh, because
Draw
he
a
can just
card.
do the Cryptic Command to play all on one turn on his next turn. He has 8 lands. It doesn't matter. And now his opponent wouldn't have access to color mana if he attacks with the Etch Champion. And if his opponent's not attacking with the Etch Champion, then he then he's a golden goose, you know?
All right. Edge champion, protection from all colors, chips away. Token dies. Brian untaps.
And this is it. He's got it locked up. So win this turn. He sees the line, which I imagine he does. He's a smart cookie.
And there's no way for Joseph to get red mana for a Galvanic Blast to break up the combo.
Precisely.
Springleaf Drum has no creature to tap with it. Darksteel Citadel only taps for colorless. By tapping that Mox Opal, Brian has successfully played defense against anything.
Well, he's lighthousing, so he's not going to make that play. It is an odd line to see, so...
Cryptic Snapcaster for Cryptic to bounce Splinter Twin to put it on Exarch.
Yeah,
It was just there, though, right?
it was just there. I was surprised because it looked like that was what he was assembling.
All right. Go to attacks. Snapcaster flashes back something. Cryptic. So he taps champion and draws a card. Yeah, he just didn't see it. Pick up Splinter Twin is game. Would have been game. I'm
Lightning
guessing you
Bolt-
don't get a ton of experience with Splinter Twin on Snapcaster.
Yeah.
It's
It's
not a
rel-
situation. You said a couple of times at GP. I'm not buying it. I think it comes up, once every couple of GPs. Wow. Zach Elsick has already won his match.
Wow. I mean,
We're in game 1. He's playing Lantern Control.
Yeah, I thought we were. I was like, let's watch this one so that we can watch the other
So we
one
can get
while it's
both.
grinding away. Yeah.
Right. I didn't realize it was two buddies that drove up together, though. That tends to make the game go a little faster.
Oh, definitely. Especially because they know when it's locked up.
Yep.
Like they've tested a trillion times. He's not gonna be like, oh well. I'll
Well,
keep playing.
I don't know how much they test against each other's brews. I mean, both of these are kind of brews. I mean,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
actually testing for the GP. Somebody's supposed to be playing one of the gauntlet decks.
That's true. But I mean, I'm
Take
sure
turns
they've
playing
played
real
against each
decks.
other maybe at local shops or whatnot.
Sure. We are going to have Lantern Control in the finals. Wow, Zach Elsick. Here's another Cryptic Command. Yeah, BBD's still digging. He's just digging. He thinks he needs to find another Splinter Twin. He doesn't see the bounce Splinter Twin line. And now there's Galvanic Blast.
Yeah. Now he doesn't have that line. This is scary.
Man down. There's no dismembers in Joseph's list, right?
Not in the main deck, no.
No. Yeah, I mean,
Not even in
it's
the
full
board.
4 Scourge, or full 4 Galvanic Blast. Splinter Twin Value Plan versus Etch Champion. That is the game that we're playing.
We may see Brian just win with a flurry of lightning bolts, though.
It's not crazy.
Yeah, it seems likely at this point.
I don't know. He's only got 3 turns left, right? Isn't he out of Cryptics now?
He is. I think he has 3 bolts in hand, though.
But I mean,
And an
Champion-
electrolyze.
Champion only needs 3 hits. I think Joseph may have drawn a Ravager there.
That would be a good draw step. I have to imagine Brian has some way to deal with Ravager in his hand, though.
But I mean, killing it isn't good enough because it drops counters onto the Etch Champion.
Yeah. Well, some way to counter it, even. Like,
Right.
he has a bunch of Remands
He needs a way to counter it.
in his graveyard. He has.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, he certainly has Snapcaster for Remand.
And I mean, it could get recast
Mhm.
by Joseph Reiter if that were the case, but he could also find something like Spell Snare. There are definitely Spell Snares in his deck. It's one of his best cards against Affinity. I don't even think he's had to cast one yet, so he might just have one that's been rotting in his hand the whole
I
game.
think he is holding one.
Oh, it was a Hangerback Walker. Interesting.
Hangerback Walker. Can't spell snare that.
Can remand it, though.
Yeah, Remand looks quite good here. Joseph looked sitting up in his chair. He thought he gave up on this game like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I mean, and
It's
now
like- and now, yeah, all of a sudden,
there's a possibility.
eagerly looking over to see what happens next. He's like, I should have been dead. Dude's got like a dozen land. He had 8 land and a double-digit life total, and I was out of cards. How am I still in this game? Well, you have a creature with protection from all colors. And Brian missed the fact that Cryptic Command could bounce his own Splinter Twin. All right, Remand. Snapcaster makes a Snapcaster. Remand's the 4-mana Hangerback, and BBD draws a card. But here comes Etch Champion chipping away. Brian is now down to 3. He's 1 Galvanic Blast or 2 Etch Champions away.
Yeah, so we're about to see. So he's going to electrolyze face.
Okay, 14. Or 15.
15. And that's only 5 lightning bolts it's going to take to kill his opponent now. He has 3 of them in his hand, and then he has Snapcaster plus Bolt. So I think he got it anyway, because he gets 2 Snap activations.
He wins the race against such champion.
Yeah, he's got 9 in the cuff with bolts, and then
Where are we? Snapcaster is tapped.
Snapcaster's tapped. I think we're on Joseph's end step.
Okay, got it. Yeah. So electrolyze your face, 15. There's the Splinter Twin. But of course, the Exarch died to the last Galvanic Blast.
Yep.
There's about a 3-turn window where BBD could have comboed off. But instead, the super sweet value win. Bolt, 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 Snapcaster is 12. I think he has to give Joseph one more draw step. If it's 3 bolts, right? Or is he holding another Snapcaster?
Well, he can use the Splinter Twin as another bolt. So he has all 5 bolts right now, right?
You're going to put Splinter Twin onto the copy of Snapcaster Mage?
Yeah, I mean, you could dig that deep. I mean, that's hilarious.
Does he have the mana for that?
That's what it looks like he has the mana for, right?
Bolt, Bolt, Bolt. Snapcast, tap Snapcaster to make a Snapcaster for Bolt.
Yeah, he has it.
Splinter Twin, the token copy.
Yeah.
Tap it, Bolt. I think he does, in fact, have it.
Yeah.
That's 7 red mana, which he has.
Yeah.
And just 2 others, which he has. This game's way sweeter than
12. Yeah, it's way sweeter than it would have been.
Twin.
Yeah. Make a copy.
Sure.
Target lightning bolt. Splinter Twin my copy.
Splinter Twin my token, which is a copy of Snapcaster Mage, so
Target
that I
other
can tap
lightning
it and make Snapcaster Mage token number 2.
Yep.
That's funny.
Bolt you, you're at 9.
Bolt
Bolt
you.
you, you're at 6. Bolt you, you're at 3. Bolt you, you're at 0.
What a sweet game. Worthy
Real
of a
sweet game.
handshake, even though it was game 1.
Yeah. That's a worthy of a handshake
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. You see that. You know, the really sweet games, especially in the top 8, you get the game 1 handshake. That's when you know you had a sweet game. And look at the smile from Brian.
Yeah. That's a fun way to get it.
All right. Now these guys go to their sideboards, figure out what they want to do for game 2. What happens after sideboarding?
So when we're looking at the sideboards for these 2 decks, the Splinter Twin deck gets 2 copies of Ancient Grudge, which are obviously huge in this matchup.
Sure.
He also gets Blood Moon. And Blood Moon's really important here because the man lands are Affinity's best route to victory when they're playing against a control deck. And Splinter Twin kind of is just a control deck that just happens to have some cards in it that really
it wins as a combo, usually.
Precisely. So I imagine we're going to see him bring in these Blood Moons, and we're going to obviously see him bring in Ancient Grudge. He has other options, too. Like, he has Pyroclasm, but Pyroclasm can be loose against Affinity. It's You'd expect it to be so good because there's this swarmy aggro deck.
Yep.
But a lot of the time when you cast a card like Pyroclasm, they can just sacrifice a whole bunch of stuff to Ravager. They're, pressuring you with their lands. It's not as good as you would think it would be in the matchup.
And you can see that these guys do have perfect information. They've consulted the deck list. They get to look at those.
Especially when your opponent's Hangerback Walkering.
Yeah.
Although I don't know if Hangerback Walker even stays in this matchup.
Probably. I mean, it's kind of an attrition matchup, right?
Yeah. So on the other end, Joseph Reiter has post-board. He's going to bring in 2 copies of Thoughtseize for sure. A Torpor Orb for sure.
Torpor Orb, that's good.
He has access to Wear and Tear if he wants it. Spellskite, another obvious inclusion. Spell Pierce, I imagine, could come in. Whip Flare is an interesting card. It's not going to come in here, but it's a fun card in his sideboard. It deals 2 damage to all non-artifact creatures for colorless and a red. So it's a Pyroclasm that doesn't hit artifact creatures. So when he plays against something like Elves, let's say, the Elves didn't make it to the finals, but let's say it did, he could say, all right, all my guys are alive, all your guys are dead. Let's move on to another game.
Yeah, we've been talking about Braun-Duin and his ascension from, learned the game in college, went to the local game store, which happened to be the Star City Tournament Center, leveled up from Friday Night Magic to Open Series grinder. He's won like half a dozen Open Series.
Yeah, I don't even know.
I mean,
he's won a lot.
Very large number.
Yeah. He's won tons of those tournaments. He's done well at invitationals. He's you know, he's been grinding that SCG circuit and,
But-
crushing it. Not even grinding it. That's not even a good way to put it, because
Right.
it's not like he goes to everything. He's not one of those guys who's like traveling to go to all
Right,
of them.
right.
He just like shows up to them and destroys them. You know.
And you were saying you actually worked with him for his first Pro Tour?
Yeah, he qualified for Pro Tour Theros in Dublin.
This is
and,
less than 2 years ago.
Yeah, less than 2 years ago, and I hadn't been on the PT in a long time. I called Brad because I'm like, I'm Brad's barn or whatever, and I called Brad. I'm like, hey, can I work with you, buddy? And he's like, no, sorry, but I'm on this big team. And I was like, you know anybody I can? He's like, well, Jerry kind of wants to be a lone wolf this time around, so he'll probably work with you. And there's this awesome dude from Roanoke that Jerry's really excited about working with, and it's Braun-Duin. And I'd heard the name, but I didn't really know who he was like that well at all. And we started working together, and he just took control of the testing. He was like, these are the best cards in the format. This is what's important. I'd be like, oh, I put this card in the deck. It was
First PT
performing
ever.
well. Yeah, and he's just like, okay, I started testing it. I changed these numbers. We played Abzan.
Okay.
So, and we were, he found Underworld Connections, and that was before Mono Black Control was a thing.
Right,
and we were
right.
playing Underworld Connections in our deck with 4 Thoughtseize.
Oh, nice.
And just like Voice of Resurgence, tons of like just all the good cards, and then Thoughtseizes and Underworld Connections.
Yeah, it was Kentaro Yamamoto that really found Pack Rat and put that deck on the map in the top 8 of that Pro Tour.
Yeah, if our deck had Pack Rat, our deck would have been much better. But I mean, I lost my winning in for top 8 of that tournament. That was
you guys did well.
That was a good tournament for us. So.
And then shortly thereafter, Brian won Grand Prix Louisville.
Yeah, the
with
next
Mono Black
weekend,
Devotion.
I believe.
Was it? It was
2
super
weekends
close.
later, but
it was the same season for
sure.
So he's actually got 2 Grand Prix wins since then. He won a Legacy Grand Prix.
Yeah, he won it was like 3,600 people or something. It was massive.
The part of that that's even more impressive to me is the fact the guy picked up Magic in college. Like, what, 5 years ago, 8 years ago? He wasn't playing for most of those cards. I mean, most of the people that are going to Legacy are these, like, grizzled veterans who, bought a starter deck of Revised and, have the dual lands left over from 1995. And no, he's just, like, saw all these cards, like, flow through Limited and flow through Standard and, Extended, which used to be a thing. Have seen these interactions and sort of familiar with these cards. But no, he's just picked it all up in the last, half dozen years. Turned himself into a really good player.
He's somebody who I think is a player to watch, somebody who's really just going to have a big breakout at some point, and just he's part of the new class of Magic Pro Tour faces that you'll start becoming familiar with, because despite not making gold last year, now he's qualified for the first 2 Pro Tours this year.
Right.
And he's starting off his season with
points from this GP.
A top 4 to GP.
Right. Yeah, no, he's in great shape to certainly he'll get back to silver, but I mean the key is, can he get to 35? Can he get to the gravy train, get qualified for everything? And he's basically got until the end of Atlanta before he even needs another invite to the Pro Tour. So
yeah, and
he's in good shape to make that run.
All he has to do is re-silver to qualify for the next one. He has 2 Pro Tours and
does re-silver get you the next one?
I believe so.
I think you've already used your silver invite for the year.
Even if you used last year's silver invite?
Well, no, he used this year's. He used last year's silver invite last year. He used this year's silver invite on Milwaukee.
Okay, you're right. I was wondering if he had gotten last year's silver invite like at the last PT.
No, he was silver for quite a while. I mean, Grand Prix Louisville was last year.
You're right. I'm sorry. He doesn't just have to get silver, but he has 2 chances to top 25 or miss on breakers.
The Legacy GPs last year, my bad.
He has a ton of GPs in between.
Of course.
I have faith in this man.
Yeah, no, he's gone from following the open circuit around to following the GP around, and the trajectory seems like there's a lot of data points and kind of a line and a trend line for him.
This kid's got a bright future.
I think so. Maybe not this game though. He's on the draw and mulliganing,
and not a good place to be against Affinity. Being on the play is very important in this matchup, and Brian took full advantage of it by winning game 1 there. And it was a tight race. I mean, had he been on the draw, who knows how that could have turned out. And we got some hands.
Here we go, game 2. Is BBD going to claim a spot in the finals against the Lantern control deck? Or is it going to be Affinity forcing a game 3?
So it's Serum Visions there. Going to smooth out Brian's draw a little bit on the mulligan. The thing about Twin, though, is that we keep on talking about all these decks in Modern that don't mulligan well. Like Affinity, oh, it doesn't mulligan well. Burn, it doesn't mulligan well. Zoo, it doesn't mulligan well. Twin mulligans really well. Like sometimes you mulligan to this 5-card hand, and then on turn 4, they're just dead. That's kind of one of the joys of playing this deck.
It's also got to feel good getting the first game against Affinity, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, now post-board, when he has access to things like Blood Moon and Ancient Grudge, he's really got to feel a lot better about things.
Serum Visions. Was that top?
I believe it was top. Joseph can't be too happy about that.
No. No, you're always rooting for bottom when your opponent resolves the Serum Visions.
All right. Well, it looks like he's at least got some action this turn.
Yeah, he's debating Ravager versus Hangerback, I think. Goes Ravager.
Stomping ground in hand there for Braun-Duin. Vision of that desolate lighthouse.
Roast your Arcbound Ravager. Joseph does at least have the Springleaf Drum that he needs to tap it, activate Nexus, and keep the counter around. Still, nice to get that Ravager resolved from BBD's perspective.
Yeah, and I mean, if once Joseph starts putting mana into the Nexus, that really means that Joseph has gone on, Plan B. And Brian's hoping that by the time Joseph's on Plan B, that Joseph's just dead.
Jacob the Quack. Come play in your booster draft. Jacob. Can you hear me, Jacob? Come play in your booster draft. That guy's Jacob the Quack over there.
Now what, Joseph? Hangerback time?
Looks like it.
Hangerback time. Oh, and activate the Nexus to chip away for 2. That works.
And it's a sweet 2, also. That Nexus attacks again now. BBD can use Vendilion Click to trade. And while using Vendilion Click to trade, he can also check. Is the coast clear? What's going on here?
1, 2, 3. Master of Ethereum is the play.
Oh, now that Inkmoth's attacking for 3.
So it is.
Still trades with Vendilion Click, but now we have to see whether or not BBD is going to go ahead and use some sort of card like here, like a Remand or something to bounce the Master of Ethereum. Though Remand is a pretty weak card against Affinity. You usually don't keep that card in post board. It's a little bit better when they're playing cards like Master of Ethereum, but still a pretty loose card against Affinity. And all their cards are so cheap, and oftentimes they have like a glut of mana.
Well, Master resolved. So Nexus is threatening to deal 3 more poison. Ryan goes to 5 Infect.
Yeah, I think he's still thinking right now, because he does have this Vendilion Click in hand.
Yeah, it seems like you run out the click and block, right? Oh, okay. Activate Nexus. Brian's thinking about the attack. No. Okay, attack has happened.
All right. I don't know.
You gave a chance to respond after activating, and then you turn your guy sideways. Like, you need to
sure.
clear your
So, activate. Okay, it's active.
before combat.
Okay.
Do you have to
Inside the beginning of your combat step.
Yeah. Joseph activated and turned it sideways immediately without giving Brian a chance to respond, so I assume Brian must have an Exarch or a
he's going to
Pester
tap
Mite.
it down.
Definitely has to be a window where Brian can tap it before it can attack.
Cast this.
There's Deceiver Exarch.
Oh,
Oh.
and that's all she wrote.
Splinter Twin. That was off the top, wasn't it?
It was.
That was Splinter Twin off
how
the
you
top
do
of the
it.
deck. No problem. Had it the whole time. Brian's trying to keep the poker face. Look at that. There's the smile. He
Just
knows
a
he got
little
away
one, a
with
little
one
one.
there. I mean, whatever. It was right to play the Exarch. He knew that he could
Yeah,
top deck
yeah.
a Splinter Twin, and even if he couldn't, he was just slowing down, buying turns. But yeah, right on schedule. Turn 3, played the Exarch just in case. Turn 4, top decked the Splinter Twin. That's going to do it for the semifinals of the Grand Prix Oklahoma City. There's your bracket. Braun-Duin will face Zach Elsick in the championship match.